Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest Wake County Webisode. Thank you for joining me each week as we talk about COVID-19 and how it is impacting us here in Wake County. Today, we're going to focus on how the virus is affecting the housing and food security of our residents, especially in our most vulnerable communities. Joining me here today is Vice Chair Commissioner Vickie Adamson, Wake County Housing Affordability and Community Revitalization Director Lorena McDowell, and Wake County Cooperative Extension Director Katherine Williams. Welcome, everyone, and we appreciate your expertise in all of these areas.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for having us all. Good to be with you today, Greg.
Absolutely, glad to be here.
It's good to have you all. So these are two topics that have been at the forefront of people's minds since the start of the pandemic. Before COVID-19, some Wake County families faced housing and food insecurities and relied on our public services for help, as you all know. And so when you add in the limitations on so many of the resources they rely on, it can make an already stressful situation even worse. So we didn't want to leave these individuals or families in peril, so we strive to continue to provide resources and strategies to help those in need. So Lorena, Katherine, why don't you share a little bit about what your departments do and how you've worked to address these needs in our communities?
Sure. Thank you, Chairman Ford. As you mentioned, even before COVID-19, we had families and individuals experiencing homelessness or on the verge of it. Wake County is one of the fastest growing communities in the United States, and that growth means that it's becoming harder to make sure that everyone can afford a safe place to live. The Housing Affordability and Community Revitalization Department was formed to help address these needs. We support housing affordability strategies and homeless services that are not supported by the housing market on its own. And this helps to make sure that our county is more affordable to more people. COVID-19 has really shined a light on the areas we need to focus more on and helped us create a roadmap of the waves of housing insecurities that may be coming down the road.
Thank you, Lorena. Katherine, how about you?
Yeah, so, well, Greg, let me share that Cooperative Extension, first of all, is the outreach arm of our land-grant universities. That's NC State and also A&T State Universities in North Carolina. And we're embedded in local government, and we really partner to help enrich the lives, land, and economy of people, all the people in our counties. Statewide, food system work is a big priority for us, and here in Wake County, food security specifically has been one of our biggest issues. When the COVID pandemic hit and our schools closed, that left many of our disadvantaged families uncertain of how they were going to be able to continue to feed their children. And sort of, as you have mentioned, complicated and already difficult situation for many families. We were fortunate that our commissioners had already worked with school leadership to establish a food security work group that brought school and community together. So it was really a natural opportunity for us to have some co-leadership. We knew already when the outbreak hit that we have about 124,000 residents in Wake County that experience food security, and that about 51,000 of those are school-age children, young people under 18. So we worked together. We went quickly and pulled together our school partners and our food bank partners, along with some of the regional food security planning that we had done. And I am really very proud to say that collectively since March 16th, we have mobilized to deliver more than 1.6 million meals at more than 180 sites. Across the county, including about 20,000 emergency food boxes that have been distributed in our county.
Katherine, I know the summer food program is always a significant project for your team during a, quote, normal summer season. I actually was out this morning helping deliver some of the Friday food boxes. And it's quite an operation, and because we're a very large county. But this year, with kids being out of school almost 3 months earlier, how has this impacted your ability to help hungry children?
Yeah, thank you so much for your efforts, Commissioner Adamson, to support this work directly. Our initial strategy really was to activate the summer feeding program, which is funded nationally by USDA, but is also coordinated statewide through the Department of Public Instruction. So every summer, as you mentioned, we have a partnership to provide free meals to teens and to children throughout the summer. But this year, we really had to ask them to start earlier. We have activated about 30 different partners, and we have asked them and are fielding about 250 volunteers a day that are making this system work right now across about 127 community-based sites. Where our partners are really fielding those volunteers to meet the needs on a daily basis. And I think that we were in a better position to do that work because of the leadership that our county has shown around food security. Back in 2018, you all adopted as commissioners the Comprehensive Food Security Plan. And we had worked together with the Capital Area Food Network and many of our regional human services partners to do planning prior to the outbreak. So that particular plan includes over 42 strategies, and 90% of those were already initiated at the time that our outbreak occurred. So we have been working together with those partners for a while now to ensure food access, to facilitate communication and education of our residents around these issues, to help us develop a sustainable food supply, and building economic development opportunities throughout the food system. And then also really facilitating co-leadership. So working with our schools and with our partners across the community. The bottom line is that without these regional networks, without our nonprofit and faith-based partners really coming to the table and facilitating volunteer engagement within that infrastructure, really none of this would have been possible. And I really have to say that the working alongside the school system and their leadership here has been, I think, not only instrumental in what we've been able to do, but I think it's a partnership that will be long lasting and carries into other non-food related areas for us that I think we can build upon. And the whole effort has been really amazing to see and really a very humbling experience to be a part of.
We really are so appreciative of all of those partnerships. Katherine, for those who may be watching, who may need help accessing these food resources, where should they go?
Yeah, so we have worked tirelessly with our communications folks to keep our Wake County webpage and our COVID website up to date so that it includes any changes and all the best information about where all the sites are located. So that is wakegov.com.covid19. And we encourage people to check it out and find the closest site close to you. We will be there all summer.
Thank you, Katherine. Like food resources, housing is another area that has responded quickly to the needs that COVID-19 has opened on top of the needs that already existed. And I think everyone knows that housing and food is where it all starts. Lorena, what has your department done to address housing issues brought on by COVID-19?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, we have also been tasked with increasing our efforts to protect those who are either homeless or facing a housing crisis now due to this virus. And again, this isn't something new to us. Wake County already had a housing affordability crisis long before COVID-19. But because of our strategic response to that crisis, we were ready to help those impacted by this virus as well. Two of our main programs that assist people struggling to find or maintain housing during COVID-19 are Wake Prevent and House Wake. We expanded Wake Prevent this spring to help families with school-age or younger children who've been living in hotels and have lost their income now due to COVID-19. And so beginning on April 6th, eligible families were able to receive financial assistance for up to 12 weeks to allow them to stay in the hotels that they've been using as a primary residence.
So it's a win-win. Families in crisis aren't finding themselves homeless, plus they had a place to quarantine themselves.
Exactly. We cannot expect that folks will stay home if they don't have a home. So expanding Wake Prevent allowed them to have that option. It not only provided a safe place to stay, but it also helped to slow the spread of COVID-19. For more information about that program, interested families can call 919-856-5661, or they can email covid19.housing.hotelfamilies@wakegov.com.
Thanks, Lorena. And we'll have all this information on our website, as you mentioned. So Wake Prevent assists folks who are currently facing a housing crisis, but House Wake helps beyond that. Can you explain how this program works?
Correct. So we can't just look at short-term issues when it comes to COVID-19 and its impacts. As we all know, they'll be more far-reaching. So many folks have either been laid off or lost their jobs or have had to go without pay for weeks at a time. And while there is an eviction moratorium in place for leaseholders right now, we know that won't last forever. Since March 15th, North Carolina has seen a massive rise in unemployment, with more than 900,000 claims filed between just that March 15 date and April 28th and climbing. So House Wake is a strategic plan to help minimize the effects of COVID-19 on the homeless or precariously housed county residents, but it also maximizes opportunities for positive long-term outcomes. It is a 6 to 8 month strategic plan that utilizes and coordinates federal, state, local funding, and all of that to address the COVID-19 crisis within our homeless and precariously housed population. But it also aims to maximize the number of individuals possible that might be facing housing instability, but are able now to connect to resources. This plan's first phase addresses the first wave of housing instability that was brought on by the initial financial impacts of COVID-19. The county will continue to work with our community partners and develop additional housing programs and policies in the coming months for future waves that we know are coming. Potential programs that could be considered would include things like expansion of our eviction prevention programs, tenant counseling and legal aid, landlord-tenant mediation, short-term rental partnerships, emergency mortgage assistance programs, foreclosure counseling, negotiations, and many more, really based on what our community needs.
Yeah, these programs are so important to helping those in need of housing stability find the support and resources they need. How does a program like this get its funding, and how can people take advantage of it who are experiencing a housing crisis?
Sure. So the CARES Act provided additional flexible funding to state, local, tribe, and territorial governments and public agencies through familiar and new programs, and they can be used to address housing instability and homelessness. And so the first round of CARES Act funding allocations for Wake County specifically included $1.2 million through the Community Development Block Grant, nearly $627,000 through Emergency Services grants, and $133,000 through housing assistance for persons with AIDS. Additional funding as well through the Coronavirus Relief Fund that came through Treasury Department. And people who need help with housing should contact their nearest Wake County Regional Center or Coordinated Entry Access site, and we'll do our best to help from there. This information is also on the Housing Department's website, which is you can access through the county's website and just find us under department.
Thanks, Lorena. Well, I know I speak for all of the commissioners when I state how important both of these programs are for the betterment of our county. As you all can imagine, not knowing where your next meal may come from or where you will lay your head down at night to sleep is a tremendously stressful situation to be in. And then all of that on top of a global pandemic. So it's really something quite unimaginable for many folks. Yet many in our county face these situations every day.
Thank you, Lorena and Katherine, for all your hard work during COVID-19, your staff and our community partners for the work you do to fill these gaps and make sure no one is left behind. It's a tough time for many Wake County residents and for our community, but it's also a time for hope. By coming together, we can ensure that we come out on the other side of this stronger together.
Well said. Well, thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today, and thank you to our community, especially our community partners, for all that you're doing to help the county. Until next time.